keeps us close to God. And I have mine. I have a mild form of autism called aspergers. It's a developmental disability. And it does affect, I know when most people think about what an autistic person is, they think of the severe cases. That's not necessarily the case. Asperger's can very much be a spectrum disorder, and there really isn't a face to Asperger's. It very much, a lot of people with Asperger's have very average to above average IQs, and there's really no significant delay in speech. But the way you can most of the time identify people with Asperger's, a lot of times we do come across being rude, or might say things that are very inappropriate that might anger some people. Or a lot of times we might come across as really odd, which is a misconception we deal with. But there's really, or we might come across being uncaring and other words. But that's really not the case. There's more under the surface than people think. What Asperger's is, it's very difficult to read people's emotions, what they're thinking. See, most folks can develop those abilities with little to no effort. For us, it takes a lot of work. It's something we really have to work on to learn how to communicate. See, there's a lot of folks, people have heard of nonverbal rules, which are unwritten rules of human contact, communication, and it's very hard for us to grasp that because we have a hard time reading signals, reading body language, really knowing whether what we've said is inappropriate or not. And it's hard for some folks to understand that. But it takes a lot of time, a lot of effort to get really good at socializing, and a lot of folks with Asperger's can get very anxious when it comes to it because it's very difficult. And it also affected me as a child too, because I had a hard time. It took me a long time to talk right. And I finally did at 5, and I haven't stopped since. But it affected me as a kid because, first couple of years of school, it was okay. The kids accepted me. But when I got into the second, third, and fourth grade is when things really started unraveling. At first, it started off being just a couple of kids who would bully me, but by the time I got in the 5th grade, it was everybody. It was a very painful experience. And I thought that things were impossible. But God made a way that I could go to Talladega Christian, which was my first time really knowing about Jesus. And I did go through the sinner's prayer and all. That was the first step toward my relationship with Jesus Christ. Then I got real behind at Talladega Christian. It wasn't a great school, but it was better than going to public school. So after I went through Talladega Christian for 2 years, things looked very bleak. I was unable to really learn in a regular environment, and things at home were not that great. However, once again, God made a way. He brought in a wonderful man, my stepdad, Tom, who's been a great influence to me, and helped me be able to go to Trinity Christian Academy. And there, I met a wonderful teacher named Mrs. Thompson, who really saw something in me that a lot of folks didn't see. And also, my stepdad helped me get help for this disability. I remember the first time I walked in to a psychologist's office to get diagnosed, there was a black girl there who had a shaved head and was scratching her head uncontrollably. And it was really a very sad sight in a lot of eyes. And I remember thinking, really feeling for that little girl. But as I got into Mrs. Thompson's class, I tried learning regularly, and it was very hard. So I had to be put out and put into special resource classes for about 3 years. And it took me when I first started, Mrs. Thompson wasn't real sure that I could even finish school, that I would even graduate at all. However, I proved her wrong. It took me an entire sophomore year to prove her wrong, and she put me in more regular classes. And I got to give Mr. Vanderbilt, the principal, a lot of credit for this, because he was nice enough to accredit my courses in the special classes, so I really appreciate him. And the Lord was really blessing me. I got to admit that not everything was the way I wanted it to be. I didn't have a lot of people to hang out with. I know there's teenagers here. I know how hard it is to be a teenager because you don't want to be left out of activities or anything like that. So I admit I developed a lot of anger. Despite how God was working, He allowed me to get a regular diploma and finish school, and also around that time I rededicated my life to the Lord. And once I got out, how would I work? Because 88% of people on the autistic spectrum are unemployed. And things were not real good as far as my employment prospects. Well, I got on with the Opportunity Center, which is a wonderful group, and I had a great job coach named Roy Roberts, who really helped me to get a job at Winn-Dixie. It wasn't a great job, but it was a start. And also I was able to go to Ayers and get a degree in computer science and finish. And I give God all the credit. And I didn't enjoy being a bagger, but it was better than not having a job at all. And the Lord really blessed me on that job. I mean, He got me to start, and then Tom, you a lady from the Anniston Star, and I was able to get on there, and that's where I've been ever since. I mean, I would like to say that everything is always wonderful all the time in my life, but it's not. I mean, there are issues with aspergers I have to deal with. I mean, there's loneliness, there's issues like that, but God gives us all problems, but no problem is too great for God.
Amen. Amen.
And I started finally attending church about 6 years ago, and I've been attending since. I got baptized about 5 years ago, and it was very cold, but I enjoyed it. And I know this, even though there are times when situations look bleak, God is always there in the midst. There's nothing that's impossible to Him.
Amen.
And my prayer is that this testimony will serve as a testimony to how powerful and how wonderful God is.
Bless His heart.
And I'd like to thank Brother Scott for giving me this opportunity. Thank you.
Amen.